And welcome to lesson 3 of the A2 level. Please, if you're there, say hello. Welcome to the class. Today we are going to talk about abilities and a little bit about routines and do a review of present simple. Okay, so let's have a look at the content of the class. So in this lesson, we will do the use of can and can't for ability, adverbs and expressions that add information. Okay, and present simple, affirmative, negative, and question forms. Okay. So, are you ready to begin? Yes? Good. Then let's go. Okay. Right. True or false? Natalie can juggle. Right. Okay. For this, I need some mandarins to help me. Okay. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Are you ready? Okay. Oh, okay. Yes, so Natalie can juggle, true or false? False. Natalie can't juggle. I really can't juggle. No, not with mandarins or anything. Okay, so next one. Natalie can speak 4 languages. Well, I can speak English, obviously, I'm English. I can speak Catalan and I can speak Spanish, but that's it. So Natalie can speak 4 languages? No, I'm sorry, but that's not true. I can speak 3 languages. Okay, and you? All right. Now, true or false? Natalie can play the guitar. Natalie can play the guitar. Right, let's have a look. One moment, please. For this, I need a guitar. Are you ready? Sorry, guitar. Okay, so Natalie can play the guitar, true or false? It's false. I can't play the guitar. No, I definitely can't play the guitar. Okay, and next one. Oh, one moment. Next slide. Okay, true or false? Natalie can cook. Natalie can cook. Well, okay, yes, I can cook. I can cook spaghetti bolognese. I can cook roast chicken. I can cook most hot meals. But look at the cake. I can cook, but I can't bake. So she can cook, but she can't bake. No, I can't bake. Bake is when you cook something like cakes or biscuits. Cakes and biscuits, for me, are a disaster. Okay. So let's look at a bit at the grammar. Okay. So we had Natalie can speak 3 languages. She can't play the guitar. She can speak Italian. Sorry, she can't speak Italian, but she can understand it. Okay, so notice here you've got, before we look at grammar, I just want you to listen to the pronunciation, okay? So, Natalie can speak 3 languages. Natalie can speak 3 languages. Can you hear the pronunciation? Can. can. Natalie can speak 3 languages. Natalie can speak 3 languages. Now listen, she can't play the guitar. She can't play the guitar. Okay, so can't, can you hear the difference? Can't. Can't is like a long sound. You have to stretch it out. Now in British English, it's can't. In American English, it has a long sound too, but it's can't. Okay, so the difference is the length. She can speak 3 languages. She can't play the guitar. Okay, and she can't speak Italian, but she can understand it. Now, do you notice the difference in pronunciation? Natalie can speak 3 languages. She can't speak Italian, but she can understand it. So here, the can is emphasized. Okay, so we're talking about abilities, all right? And here, the can is emphasized. So let's go back and look at the grammar again. All right, so to form these sentences, you have the subject, can or can't, plus the infinitive. You always use the infinitive, so it's very easy. And can or can't is a modal verb, so it doesn't change form, and it always has an infinitive. Okay, so other verbs that work like this are should, would, will, may, might. They are all modal verbs. They don't change their form. In future lessons, we will look at these other verbs. Okay. Now, again, remember the pronunciation. So you've got can. It can be can or can. Can or can. And can't is can't, long sound, or American English can't, but it's a long sound, so you must get that right. Okay, so questions. How do you make a question? It's very easy. You just invert the verb and the subject. So for example, can you speak French? Can you speak French? Can you speak Arabic? Can you speak Arabic? Can you cook? And an example with question form. How many languages can you speak? So here you can see highlighted, you've got the can or can't, can, and the subject. Okay, so, and here's some examples of short answers. So, can you speak French? Yes, I can. Now here we have the emphasized form of the pronunciation. Yes, I can, not yes, I can. No. Yes, I can. No, I can't. Can you speak Arabic? Yes, I can. No, I can't. Can you cook? Yes, I can. No, I can't. Okay. So it's not difficult. It's more you have to practice the pronunciation. It's very, very important, pronunciation. Okay. So now for this section, you need a pen and some paper. Okay. You need your notebook. And I'm going to dictate some sentences to you. Okay, so I'm going to dictate some sentences. There are 5 sentences. Okay, so have you got a pen? I hope so. All right, so sentence number 1. All right, I'll repeat it 2 or 3 times, but speaking normally. Okay? So, number 1, my brother can speak French. My brother can speak French. My brother can speak French. Okay, number 2. I can't speak French, but I can understand it. I can't speak French, but I can understand it. I can't speak French, but I can understand it. Okay? And number 3, I can't play the piano. I can't play the piano. I can't play the piano. Okay? And number 4, I'm sorry, I can't come to the meeting. I'm sorry, I can't come to the meeting. I'm sorry, I can't come to the meeting. And number 5, okay, I can play the violin, but not very well. I can play the violin, but not very well. I can play the violin, but not very well. Okay. Right. Now, let's have a look at the answers. So, the first one was, my brother can speak French. My brother can speak French. The next one, I can't speak French, but I can understand it. I can't speak French, but I can understand it. Number 3, I can't play the piano. I can't play the piano. And number 4, I'm sorry, I can't come to the meeting. I'm sorry, I can't come to the meeting. Now this sentence is in green because it's slightly different to the other sentences. But when we've finished, I will talk about that. Okay, I can play the violin, but not very well. I can play the violin, but not very well. Okay, so in sentence number 4, we say, I'm sorry, I can't come to the meeting. Now here, can't is not referring to an ability. It's referring to a possibility. So it's great because it's the same form, same pronunciation points, but you can also use it for talking about possibility, either now or in the future. Okay, so it's very, very useful. For example, let me show you here. So it's can, can't for possibility. For example, I'm sorry, I can't come to the meeting. Or I can't come to the lesson tomorrow. So this is can't used for a future possibility. Obviously, you can use it in affirmative. I can come to the meeting tomorrow. For example, I can come to the lesson on Sunday morning. I hope so. Okay. Now, the other thing I want... wait one moment. I want to go back. There's another thing I want to talk about. So let me just go back for a second. Okay, here we are. Right, now, here, these are the same sentences, but look at sentence number 5. It says, I can play the violin, but not very well. Excuse me. I can play the violin, but not very well. Now here, this expression here, but not very well, is we use an adverb, in this case, well. I can play the violin well. We add to it very well, but we're making it negative, but not very well. So it's like an expression, and we use this a lot when we're talking about abilities. because normally it's not simply a case of I can swim, I can't swim, I can speak French, I can't speak French. No, we like to give extra information. It's fantastic to give extra information to make your English more complex, more fluent. Okay, so now we're going to look at some examples of how you can give this extra information. Okay, so adding information. For example, I can cook, but not very well. She can speak French, but not very well. And here's an example of using can't. I can't cook very well. So number 1 and number 3 is similar. Yeah, they're similar. So you've got I can cook but not very well, or I can't cook very well. I can cook but not very well. Okay. Another example, she can cook very well. She's a fantastic cook. My mother can cook very well. And her cakes are delicious. Me, a disaster. Okay. Another example here, we have the adverb fluently. So he can speak English fluently. He can speak English fluently. Okay. Or he can speak English but not fluently. He can speak English but not fluently. Okay. I like this. I can swim but not very far. So I can swim maybe 50 meters, but a kilometer, no. I mean, I have a friend who can swim 5-6 kilometers. Oof, I mean, no. I can swim, but not very far. Okay. And he can swim a bit. For example, my daughter, she can swim, but a bit. Yes, like maybe 10 meters. So he or she can swim a bit. So it's another way of adding extra information. Okay. So, how are you going? I hope you can understand everything. And even if this is easy for you, I hope that it's interesting listening to the examples. Okay, so now we're going to go on. I want you to answer these questions, okay? So for this, you can just answer speaking, or you can write it in the chat box, or you can write it in your notebook, or you can just say it, okay? All right, so the questions. Can you swim? Can you swim? Can you speak English? Can you speak English? Can your mother speak English? Can your mother speak English? Can you cook? Can you cook? Can you juggle? Can you juggle? And can you play a musical instrument? Can you play a musical instrument? Okay, so I hope that you answer these questions honestly, and try to use the adverbs and the expressions to add extra information. It's useful. So not can you swim? Yes, I can. But can you swim? Yes, I can, but not very well. Or can you swim? Yes, I can. I can swim very, very well. 10 or 20 kilometers. Okay, so try to expand the complexity of your sentences. Okay, now let's continue. Now, in this section of the lesson, it's a listening. And in this listening, I'm going to talk just a little bit about my routine from Monday to Friday. Okay, just a little bit. So I just want you to listen and relax and enjoy. Okay, all right, so hello, I'm a teacher, but I don't work in one place. I travel to different places, so basically this means my timetable is different every day because I don't work in one place. For example, on Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I leave the house at about 20 to 7, so 6:40 a.m. In the morning, and I go to a university outside Barcelona, so I get the train. But on Thursdays, I leave the house at around 9 o'clock, more or less. And then on Fridays, I leave the house at 8:30 in the morning. And that's basically the mornings. And then every afternoon, I pick up my children from school. Okay, and I usually go to the supermarket, I come home, I cook the dinner, and I don't go to bed late because usually I'm very, very tired. Okay, so that's a little bit of information about my routine from Monday to Friday. Okay, so now I'm going to give you some questions. All right, some questions, and just see if you can remember the answers to the questions. Okay. So we've got, what time does Natalie leave the house on Tuesdays? What time does Natalie leave the house on Fridays? What does she do in the afternoons? And does she have the same timetable every day? Okay, so what time does Natalie leave the house on Tuesdays? Number 1, can you remember? Yes, it was 6:40 a.m. or 20 to 7. Yes, because I go to get the train. Okay, what time does Natalie leave the house on Fridays? On Fridays? Yes, do you remember? Yeah, 8:30 in the morning. 8:30 in the morning, or 8:30. Remember in lesson 2 we did the times. If you don't remember, you can go back to lesson 2 and have a look. Okay, and what does she do in the afternoons? Okay, so I pick my children up from school. I go to the supermarket and I cook the dinner. Okay, and does she have the same timetable every day? No, timetable is like your what you do every day, your schedule. Okay, so no, I don't have the same timetable every day. All right, so now I'm going to show you the text that I said, more or less. I mean, obviously when you're speaking you change certain aspects, but more or less the text, the listening text I gave you just then. Okay, so here we are. I am a teacher, but I don't work in one place. I travel. I travel to different places. This means my timetable is different every day. On Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I leave the house at 6:40 a.m. or 20 to 7 in the morning, and I go to the university to give classes. On Thursdays, I leave the house later at around 9 o'clock. On Fridays, I leave the house at 8:30 a.m. In the afternoons, I pick my children up from school. Pick up is a phrasal verb. So I go and I collect my children from school, and I go to the supermarket and I cook dinner. I don't go to bed late because I am usually very, very tired at the end of the day. Okay, so fantastic. I hope that was useful. Now we're going to look a little bit at the verbs. Okay, so here we are. I've highlighted the verbs. We've got I am, the verb to be, and then we've got other verbs. I don't work, I travel. Oh, my timetable is the verb to be. Leave the house, I leave the house. I go to the university. I pick my children up, phrasal verb. I go to the supermarket. I cook dinner. I don't go to bed. I am usually very, very tired. Okay, so we've got lots of examples of present simple verbs, both verb to be and other verbs. And now today I want to focus not on the verb to be, because we did some of that in lesson 1. I want to focus on the other verbs. So let's see how much you know. Okay, I go to work. What's the negative of I go to work? What's the negative? Yes, I don't go to work. I don't go to work. Very good. So in this, we need to use the auxiliary verb to make it negative. He leaves the house early. Early, for example, at 6 o'clock in the morning. He leaves the house early. And the negative? He doesn't leave the house early. So we use the auxiliary verb to make the negative. Okay, but the auxiliary verb in third person. Okay, so basically the third person singular changes form in the affirmative. For example, have, has. That's an irregular. Okay, so my father has fruit for breakfast. Obviously, you can say other verbs, for example. Go, goes. My brother goes to work at 8:30 or 8:30. See, sees. He sees his mother at the weekend. Watch, watches. My son watches a lot of YouTube. That's true. Work, works. My mother works in a restaurant. Notice the pronunciation of this verb. It's not works, no, works. It's like a bleh, long sound. My mother works in a restaurant. So notice you always have an S, although we do have irregular verbs like have, has, go, goes. So remember that. I hope you already know this, really, because you're A2 level. This is just a review. But if you do have problems with this and you want more practice, don't forget there's a test at the end. And also you can write to me and tell me that you want more information on that, okay? So last example, play, plays. My sister plays the guitar. Okay, so verb forms Here's just a summary. I go to work. Here you can see the third person change. And in the negative, I go to work, I don't go to work. You go to work, you don't go to work. He goes to work, he doesn't go to work. She goes to work, she doesn't go to work. We go to work, we don't go to work. They go to work, they don't go to work. Okay, so you can practice this. Don't forget the pronunciation, it's very important. Okay. So, how's it going? I hope all of this is useful for you to have a review. Okay, and let's see what we're going on to now. Questions. Okay. Now, in my experience as a teacher, when you test students on questions, they do it perfectly. Okay, they go, it's a question, so you have to use the auxiliary verb and you change the position, and they write it perfectly. But when they're speaking and they want to ask a question, then I think something goes wrong. I don't know, something goes wrong. So we do a review here, but I want you to try to get it right when you're speaking as well, okay? Because that way it would become kind of more automatic. Yes? Do you understand what I mean? Question? Okay, so let's have a look at the questions. Right, so for example, what time do I start the lesson? What time do you start the lesson? What time does he leave the house? When does she go to work? Do we have time? Yes, we do. No, we don't. Okay, so here you can see, again, we use the auxiliary verb and the subject, and the auxiliary verb and the subject are changed in place. And notice in the last question, do we have time? The short answers, we use the auxiliary verb. Okay, so do we have time? Yes, we have. No. Do we have time? Yes, we do. Do we have time? No, we don't. Does he have time? Yes, he does. Does he have time? No, he doesn't. Does he work? Yes, he does. Does she like fish? No, she doesn't. Okay, so you've got to get used to using the auxiliary verb in the short answers in yes and no questions too. Okay, all right. So now this is a quick test before we finish the lesson. So you need your notebook and your pen. I don't know where my pen is. So notebook and a pen. I will put the quick test on the screen for you, and I will give you a few minutes to try to change the sentences first from affirmative to negative, okay? And be careful because they're not all the same. You will see what I mean. Okay, so here we are. So number 1, she likes pizza. Number 2, he goes to work at 8 a.m. Number 3, I can swim. Number 4, we watch TV every day. And number 5, he can play the guitar. So write these in negative. Okay, all right. Let's have a look at the answers. She likes pizza. She doesn't like pizza. Notice you've got the infinitive in the negative, the like, because the auxiliary verb does the work. Okay. He goes to work at 8 a.m. or 8 o'clock. He doesn't go to work. Okay, next one. I can swim. I can't swim. Here, pronunciation. Okay. We watch TV every day. We don't watch TV every day. Okay, and the last one, he can play the guitar. He can't play the guitar. Okay, so how did you do? Was it easy, difficult? Probably easy, I hope. I'm sure you're a very good student. All right. Now, this bit of the quick test is a bit more difficult because it's questions. Some are yes/no questions, and some are information questions with information words. Okay, question words. So let's see how you go. Okay, a bit longer. Okay, are you ready to look at the answers? Yes? Okay. All right. So, does she like rock music? Do you like rock music? Me? It depends. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. What time does he go to work? Does he go to work early, for example, at 6 o'clock in the morning? Or does he go to work late, for example, at 10 o'clock in the morning? When do they want dinner? In your country, what time do you have dinner? For example, in the UK, usually people have dinner about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening, but children have dinner at 5 o'clock. It's very early. In Spain, adults have dinner about 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening, and children have dinner about 9 o'clock. So it's very, very different. So what time do you have dinner in your country? Because I know there are really big differences. For example, in France, I think they usually have dinner about 7 o'clock. I know in Central America, like Costa Rica, they have dinner about, quite early, about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. So there are big differences in the times. Okay, anyway, back to the exercise, the test. Right. Oh, sorry. Right. Okay. Where do you work? Where do you work? If you work, do you work? I work a lot. But for me, I'm very lucky because I like my job. So I feel very happy that I like my job. So it's good. If you work a lot and you like your job, that's good, no? It's a good thing. A good thing. Okay. And last one. Does he work? Okay. Now, in this section, I just want you to answer these questions about yourself, okay? You can think the answers, you can write the answers down, whatever you prefer. But I would practice trying to say the answers quite quickly, okay? So, because a good way to consolidate grammar is to start using it, all right? So let's have a look at the questions. What time do you leave the house on Mondays? What time do you leave the house on Mondays? When do you study English? When do you study English? Where do you live? Where do you live? Remember, do you live in a city, town, village? From lesson 1. Do you do sport? Do you do sport? Sometimes people say, do you play sport? That's okay. But do you do sport? Does your mother work? Does your mother work? Okay. So I hope that you practiced answering these questions, writing down the answers. It's very, very good to write about yourself. You must write true sentences. Why? Why? Because then your brain is processing the language in a deeper way. Okay? Do you see what I mean? Okay. All right. So, just to remind you, so in this class we did use of can and can't for ability, and we also looked at examples of can and can't for possibility. That was extra information. Okay, we looked at adverbs and giving more information, and we looked at present simple, affirmative, negative, and question forms. Present simple, which we use a lot when we're talking about routine. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed lesson 3, and I hope that you found lesson 3 useful and interesting and a good review. So I hope to see you in lesson 4. So goodbye and see you in lesson 4. And remember, if you subscribe, you can do the test at the end of this lesson. You will find it on the website to check your understanding. Okay, so thank you very much. Goodbye.